rewrite this extract at same pitch in tenor clef. Remember to include the key signature. So you're asked to write it in tenor clef. You know, we have different kinds of clef. We have the treble, the alto, and the C movable clef, where tenor and the alto falls in. So at this point, you are being asked to write it this extract in tenor clef. So now let's see how it goes. And remember, they say at same pitch. You're not just asked to write, you're being asked to write it at the same pitch. That means the same sound here should be the same where you place it here. So now let's solve it together gradually. Okay, now the first notes. Okay, I'm going to write out these notes to aid our learning. Okay, so the first note here is G. The next note is F sharp. The next is E. The next is G, E, D, C, and we have A, and we have B. Okay, so if you're still not familiar with your ledger lines, please go and learn. Okay, and remember they said remember to include the key signature, but in this case this music is on C or its relative minor, which the key signature is not needed here because the extract here had no key signature. So you are being asked to copy and paste. So let's do the copy and paste. Now this is it. Let's find out where, first of all, let's know where our middle C is on the tenor clef. Okay, so the middle C is where this connection occurs. So this is where we have our middle C on the tenor clef is on line 4. So that means this particular C, the sound of this C is going to be here. Okay, so now we go. Now this is G, right? So if this fourth line is C, after C we have D space, we have E line, we have G, we have E line, we have F space, and then that means the first ledger line here is going to be G, is where we are going to get these notes. Now let's do the calculation again. In tenor clef, the fourth line is the middle C. After the fourth line, middle C, we have the fifth line is E, and the first ledger line above will now be G. So this is where we get the G now. Now we are done with the G, and then the F sharp. If G is on a ledger line, that means here is where we get our F, and then you put the sharp. So that means these two notes now we are done with it. You put your, and then we have here E, and if line 4 is C, that means line 5 is E. So that's how we get our E. And then we have G again, which is first ledger line above tenor clef. So we are done with that. And then we have E again, which is here, the fifth line. And then we have D. D is the fifth space in tenor clef. D is the fifth space in tenor clef. C, middle C, that will give you the same sound as the C, the first ledger line below treble clef, and the first ledger line above bass clef is line 4 in tenor clef. Okay, so we are done with this. Okay, now this is the middle C here, which is the first ledger line below the treble clef. So, and this is where the middle C is on the tenor clef, the same pitch, on the same pitch, that it sounds the same. For instance, let me on my keyboard to bring out the sound of the middle C. So this is with the sound of the middle C here, and if it's written here, it's still gonna sound no difference. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so then we have A. So if G was ledger line, the first ledger line above, that means A is going to be the space above the ledger line. So that's how we get our A. All right. And then we have B. We have B. So if the C is the line 4, that means B is going to be the space before the C. Because this node is before the C, that means B is going to be the space before the C. So with this knowledge now, you're done with your question number 1. I'll explain again. I said that the middle C, the ledger line below the treble clef, the first ledger line below the treble clef is the same pitch as the fourth line in the tenor clef. They are both the same C. Okay, so this is the G. The second line in treble clef is the first ledger line above the tenor clef. Okay, so that's how we get C, D, E, F, G. So with this, we are good. All right, question 1 is answered. Now, question 2. Add accidentals where necessary to make this scale E harmonic minor. We have the natural minor, we have the melodic minor, and we have the harmonic minor. And at this point, you're being asked for the harmonic minor. So I'm going to write the solver notation of the harmonic minor, and then we use it to solve. I'm just giving you, if you're in exams, or the easiest way to answer your questions, no stress. Okay, so let's write out the scale of the E flat harmonic minor. E flat on the solver, we have La, Ti, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Si, La. You see, the 7th degree of the scale is raised by a semitone. Let me put it that way. Okay, so this is the solver notation of the harmonic minor scale. Now let's find out what will that be in E flat harmonic minor. Okay, so E flat is going to be E flat as La, Ti, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So, Z. Instead of So is C. So instead of using a D flat, we are going to use a D natural. Since key signature was not given, so you can just let it be D. But if key signature was given at the beginning, you'd have to naturalize it. And anyways, you wouldn't have written this if there was key signature. Okay, so it's going to be D as the Z now, because this is representing Z now. Then back to E flat. So let's fix it here. So that means we are going to have E flat. So we are going to have E flat. We are going to have D flat. E flat. Let's start from here, okay? Because it's given in. So there's going to be E flat, and we have D, not D flat. We have C flat. Where you put your flat matters. We have B flat. See how I'm putting it? We have A flat, and we have G flat, and we have F, and we have E flat. But then there's another O, because you can't just know what E flat harmonic minor or E flat minor is. First of all, you have to know the relative measure of that key you're working on. So how do you find your the relative key of E flat? You just know that since it's La, that means you need to do your La, Ti, Do until where you find your Do. That's when you know that, okay, the actual key, the relative measure of that's what you're finding is always at Do. So like now it's E flat, so you now count E flat, F, G, now do La, Ti, Do. So that means you found your Do at G. you find your do as G, and since it can't be a natural G or a G major, so it's a G flat major. Yeah, so it's a G flat major. So from this major now, you know the key signatures or the accidentals, the components of that key. Then you easily find your minor by either naturalizing the accidental, or by naturalizing the note, or by sharpening, or by anything. Okay, so we've solved this problem. We've seen now that we're able to make this E flat harmonic minor. So we've made it E flat harmonic minor. So if you see